Hi Gemini, Amanda here. Welcome to Unseen Hands Healing. This is going to be a small story reading for you here in December. So these small story readings are more of a specific glimpse into what might be going on in your life or in one of y'all's life, as opposed to the larger monthly big shift readings, which are more overall energy. So as we zoom in here in this small story, the way it works is I'll pick a book off of the shelf that seems to be speaking to you, choose to a passage at random and read that aloud to you, and then we will pull cards to clarify, to illuminate the story. So the passage that wants to come through for you today, Gemini, is from an amazing biography of Zelda Fitzgerald by Nancy Milford. Here's the passage. It starts with a love letter from Zelda to Scott. I look down the tracks and see you coming, and out of every haze and mist, your darling rumpled trousers are hurrying to me. Without you, dearest, dearest, I couldn't see or hear or feel or think or live. I love you so, and I'm never in all our lives going to let us be apart another night. It's like begging for the mercy of a storm or killing beauty or growing old without you. I want to kiss you so, and in the back where your dear hair starts, in your chest. I love you, and I can't tell you how much. To think that I'll die without your knowing. Goofo, you've got to try to feel how much I do, how inanimate I am when you're gone. I can't even hate these damnable people. Nobody's got any right to live but us, and they're dirtying up our world, and I can't hate them because I want you so. Come quick to me. I could never do without you. If you hated me and were covered with sores, if you ran away with another woman and starved me, I would want you, I know. Lover, lover, darling, your wife. The biography continues. Increasingly, their friends were Scott's friends. The pace of their life was being set by the demands of Scott's work and his success, and Zelda, who had established the tone of their courtship, must have felt their marriage slipping precariously into unknown regions in which she might become lost. The passion of her letter, the wild and intense description of her love for Scott, was an indication not only of her need for him, but also of her uncertainty about herself within the life they were leading. The woman who realized that she wanted to be two simple people at once was finding the one who wants a law to itself in ascendance with her marriage. Zelda was becoming entangled in the cross currents of a complex of opposing roles, making an effort to be both daring and loving, to not give a damn and to care deeply, to be proud of Scott's drawing on her for his fiction while resenting it. In January 1921, when Scott was interviewed for a slick magazine called Shadowland, he drew a contrast between the sexless animals writers have been giving us and his own wife. Girls, for instance, have found the accent shifted from chemical purity to breadth of viewpoint, intellectual charm, and piquant cleverness. We find the young woman of the 1920s flirting, kissing, viewing life lightly, saying damn without a blush, playing along the danger line in an immature way, a sort of mental baby vamp. Personally, I prefer this sort of girl. Indeed, I married the heroine of my stories. I would not be interested in any other sort of woman. That Zelda might find it a strain to be always this startling creature of Scott's fiction, much as she also relished the attention it brought her, or that it placed her under a burden of performance, did not seem seriously to trouble either of the Fitzgeralds. What's sticking out to me from this is that it placed her under a burden of performance. That feels significant. This idea of, there's a lot here. There's a lot about, that seems to be about enmeshment, that seems to be about, where do you stop and I begin? Can I live without this other person, this love? Sorry, I'm just trying to arrange this book and it's gigantic. Give me 1 second. Without spilling all of my cards. Okay, success. And then this idea of performing a certain character that she thinks this person, the object of her desire, wants or desires or loves. This is significant. This is what's sticking out to me. Let's see how this applies to the cards. Give you a couple shuffles here, Gemini. Okay. What's the story? What's the story, Gemini? This deeply passionate Zelda and Scott Fitzgerald tragic love. Playing fictional characters in their own life drama. One more, please. Okay. Too many. One more for Gemini. Okay. All right. What fell? Let's see. Gemini. Sorry, I'm just, I need to listen for guidance really quick to see what order this goes in. Interesting. Switched it up. Goes like this. The shaman or the magician in the tarot. Dedication. The 9 of bows. And clearance. The 7 of bows. Bows are wands. Sorry, 9 of arrows. Arrows are swords, for those of you who are keeping track of the tarot. This is the 9 of arrows. But in this deck, it's dedication. I'm using the Wildwood deck here. Very interesting here. So I'm already seeing this shaman card and the dedication card. I'm seeing this as that, the couple, the romantic dynamic that showed up in that reading. I'm seeing this as like Scott Fitzgerald, the Scott Fitzgerald energy here, working on what they are trying to create, because this is the creator, this is the shaman, the one who has all of these tools at their disposal to essentially make magic and to create, conjure even the life of their dreams, or perhaps the woman of their dreams, or the partner of their desires, this idealistic, perhaps fictional idea of romance. And then we've got, here she is in the flesh. That's how I'm seeing this is the being that this one has conjured. And this is her performing the role, doing the dance of continuing to be the one that was conjured. Dedication to this role, you know, playing the role with dedication, with this sense of fervor and commitment. And again, it's like, it's tricky because it's a mixed up, it's a belief that she is committing to a person, and in a sense she absolutely is. But it's this idea that in order to commit to this person, she has to commit to to being a version of herself permanently, you know, and like holding that position. The question is like, what is she dedicated to here? I'm seeing this as she's using the bow and arrow to dedicate herself to, it almost looks like she's playing a violin. Getting so good at the art of performing a role for this shaman. Pick your position, Gemini. You could be either in this scenario. Although the book is entitled Zelda, it's more focused on Zelda, on this this role here. And then we have clearance. Clearing something out, clearing the way for something new, clearing the old away so that the new can be brought forth. That's what's happening in the background. This bonfire is burning away the old so that, yeah, look at that. Wow. We have a bow with a string broken. It's time to reset the bow, to restring the bow and to create new arrows. Instead of continuing to do the dance, Gemini, that perhaps you have been doing, or someone in your intimate life has been doing, but it seems like you. It's almost like I'm seeing this, it goes like this. I'm seeing this bow as being the one here that is being held over here, put aside to be restrung, and all of these arrows are what is being cleared away, what is being burned, and it's like a reset. It's like a reset in relationship, whether you are in a current relationship with someone or you are on your own and you are just needing to reconsider the way that you are in relationship. That's sort of what I'm seeing coming through here. Realizing I don't want to keep doing this performance. I don't want to put so much pressure on myself to perform a certain way that I think someone wants me to be, to continue to be this like mythical, fictional, magical character that constantly keeps their attention and constantly keeps them on their toes and interested and excited. Meanwhile, who I actually am continues to become more and more lost the more I dedicate myself to playing this certain instrument of myself, this certain tune, playing this one song of myself, when in reality, the songs of who we are shifts and changes and morphs throughout our lives. And so there's something, I think there's a realization happening here for you that dynamic has been at play in your relationships, perhaps, and it's time for a clearance. It's time for a total restring the bow, hew. I want to say Hewn. New hewn. I can't say the word. It's time to carve some new arrows, basically. Restart, reset, clear it out. And that can be really hard to do because, that love letter from Zelda, that romantic language and those deeply real and very strong, passionate, wild feelings are such an important part of being human and such an important part, I think, of who we are, to feel that way, to feel so deeply. Just not at the expense of ourselves, and that's where it gets tricky. It's like, there's a lot of talk about codependency and a lot of awareness around codependency nowadays. And I think that's really, really useful. I mean, gosh, that's been super useful for me and lots of people I know to suddenly become aware of this dynamic of interdependence instead of enmeshment in relationships. But interdependence doesn't mean emotionless, and it doesn't mean passionless, like that wild passion can absolutely still be there without feeling like you have to play some sort of role for someone else or in order to keep someone else's interest constantly, exhaustively. Yeah, it's like, what are you dedicating your life to? Are you dedicating your life to becoming more wholly who you are, like more and more of who you are? Or are you dedicating your life to the continued performance of roles in relationship? Interesting, Gemini. Okay, I'm going to pull a fairy. Brian Farrell's fairies. What's the fairy guidance here for Gemini before we dig into this reading in an extended? Fairy guidance for Gemini for this Zelda Fitzgerald 1920s love saga. Oh, too many. Keep wanting to feed you 3 cards. Just one, please, for Gemini. Okay, hold on. Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. I'm not going to take those two. We have Ta'om the Poet. I'm dropping my poet. 1 second. Okay. I'm getting old. Okay. There's our poet. There's our Romeo. Look at that brooder. That romantic brooder. It's very Piscean, yeah? At least to me, that energy is Piscean. And we're coming off of a pretty intense quarter moon in Pisces at the time of this recording. So feel this big time. This brooding poet. Again, the wildness of feelings can lead us to very slippery places of becoming what we imagine something to be rather than truly looking at what it is. Wanting to please the poet, essentially wanting to be the muse. Again, pick your role here. And maybe you'll find a little bit of both of yourself in these characters. I imagine you might. The shaman and the poet who are over here trying to conjure up their dream girl or whatever, you know, trying to conjure up this perfect partner. And then here you are also as trying to do the dance of the perfect partner that you think this one is dreaming of, you know, and a lot of this is all sort of wrapped up in fantasy and illusion. Not to be confused with wildness and passion. I think that's really what I want to bring home here. You can have wildness and passion without fantasy, without entirely devoting yourself, dedicating yourself to fantasy and illusion. Okay, interesting, Gemini. So we're going to dig into this reading now in an extended reading. I'll put a little clip at the end, a little preview for you to check that out and see if that's resonating for you. If it is, click the link in the description box below and that'll take you right over to Vimeo where you can view this extended reading instantly, okay? And perhaps I will see you over there where we will take clarifier cards, really try to flesh out this relationship and see what these roles are, what this is all about. We'll get some more fairies. We'll see what's the clearance, what needs clearing out and what comes next. You know, what are we making room for moving forward? All right. So if that sounds like it's for you, I'll see you over at Vimeo. If not, Gemini, thanks so much for tuning into this small story. Happy holidays, happy December, and I'll talk to you soon. Beautiful. Wow. Getting a really lovely message with this. With enough distance from the situation, when you're up close to something, it can feel like that's all there is. It can feel like there's nothing else but this. There's nothing else in the world but this connection. There's nothing else in the world but this relationship. And there's nothing else in the world but this poetry and this fantasy and this ideal. That is actually a really constricting and restricting form of attachment style, you know, to use therapy language. And if you retreat, if you back up, you get a little bit of distance from that. you may find that that way of being in relationship is deeply based on a scarcity mindset.